Hi folks, I'm the newstarcadefan here, and welcome back to a winter's Daydream. In the last episode, we made our trek up to the shrine steps, all 76 of them, and in this episode, we're gonna see if the magic of the spirits is true. My grandmother seldom wipes her forehead with the sleeve of her kimono. This is actually a beautiful thing that you think about it. And this is actually one of the visual novels that you probably should check out if you don't want anything that has a ton of sex in it, or none at all. She sounds so exhausted. We might as well be a pair of polar explorers who finally reached Antarctica. Fortunately, we didn't have as many casualties along the way as Captain notes. Neither did we have to resort to eating our dogs. Not that we brought any dogs with us. Hmm. My grandmother examines the old shrine, her expression downcast. I'm not much to look. It's not much to look at, is it? I don't say anything. This isn't anything for me to say. And I half allowed myself to believe as I trudged up these stone steps that the same magic which holds my grandfather in his farm would have worked upon his shrine too. The, the Jinguji shrine from my childhood was a rundown, dilapidated place in desperate need of renovation. A couple of fox statues flank the shrine, but they're crumbling around the edges. One of those foxes is missing a front paw and an ear, while another's head has been sliced clean off. Part of me wondered if I'll find the decapitated fox head lying under an undergrowth, but I don't particularly feel like scrabbling around the frigid earth with my bare hands for it. The shrine itself is a humble wooden construction that is slowly rotting away. There are numerous holes in the roof, leaving it open to elements, and it seems to be sinking into the ground on the right hand side. No festivals take place here. Not anymore. My grandfather told me this place only opens during New Year's, so the parishioners group can sell charms and amulets to those foolhardy enough to brave all 76 stone steps in the freezing cold winter. But I doubt there's enough local interest to even keep that going. This place is empty, barren, completely deserted. My grandmother are the only ones here. It's just us and the stars. The stars, the wind, and the snow. The wind seems to have picked up during our ascent. Or maybe it's chillier here since we're atop the hill summit. I can look down across the whole village from this elevated position. It spreads before me in a murky, dim mass. I can see the roofs of the houses, tall trees of winding dirt streets that aren't real roads. This village is so out of the way it doesn't even have any street lamps. It's hard to pick out the details of the village below, and soon my eyes begin to go blurry. I tear my gaze away, but what else is there for me to look at here? The little shrine is strangely depressing, particularly in the silence. The wind tugs at the hem of my coat and makes my hair flutter. I jam my fingers even deeper into the pockets of my pants. Not that it makes any real difference. The wind still finds them regardless. The stars have never looked more menacing. Even Beetlejuice, for all his brightness, seems to be mocking me. Mocking us. Oh dear, this place really hasn't aged well. It doesn't match your memories? Not at all. The small shrine was never a hub of activity, but it used to be well maintained in the past. You'd never see anything like this. My grandmother gestures at the holes in the wooden roof of the shrine. It's a positive health hazard. I try to keep my tone like I'm joking, but the wind seems to suck the air out of my lungs, and the cold weather knifes me, sliding beneath my coat and scarf so I shiver. I used to come here with my mother frequently. She said walking up the stairs was good exercise. What else did she come here for other than the workout? Oh, she was always praying for something or another, mostly about me, I think. She was worried that I would never find a husband because I was too ditzy and always daydreaming. She was wrong. Maybe not. Maybe the gods simply heard her prayers. She prayed long and hard and donated no small amount of money. We came here so often that the local priest smiled and greeted me whenever we stopped by. This tiny shrine used to have a priest? Oh yes, back in the day. He was a funny man, very short, with a shiny bald head. He was called Saruyama. Some of the local children teased him, but he was a nice man. He was especially kind to me. He always told me that he would pray for my future, too. It sounds like a lot of people prayed for you back then. You're right. They must have thought I was completely hopeless. I think you're very capable myself. That's sweet of you to say, dear, but I do wonder. Maybe it was foolish for me to come back here? I don't know why I thought it would match my memories. It was just a fancy daydream. But sometimes we have to daydream just a little. If we don't, there'd be no magic in this world. That's what I always used to say too, but my mother was trying to shake her head and tell me not to be silly. She told me to look at things with my eyes and not my heart. Perhaps I should have listened. I'm glad you didn't. I had fun with you today. Really? You don't think I wasted your time? No, why would I think that? Because I dragged you around the houses looking for the silly kimono, and for what? There's no one to show off here to other than these poor foxes. My grandmother gestures towards the two stone deities, one with the missing paw near and the other with the missing head. It's a shame these little gods aren't much in a position to judge my appearance. If they were, I'm sure they'd think you look lovely. At my age, never. I think you've aged incredibly well, all things considered. You would say that, you charmer. You should watch out, you, or all the girls will be after you. I prefer if they didn't. Come now, you don't need to act queer around your old grandmother. You know what I know what you men are like. I'm not really interested in girls right now, and I don't know if this is the kind of thing we should be discussing at a shrine. Huh? Why not? It might seem disrespectful. I can't imagine the gods will mind. They're probably happy to see other people visit this old place again. It must be awfully lonely living up here without anybody to talk to, without anybody who cares. There's a small silence. The one continues to moan mournfully. I swear, it almost sounds like the howl of a lonesome fox. When did the priest stop working here? When he died. He was an old man. When I was a little girl, and time wasn't kind to him, he had kidney problems, I think. He had to go to the hospital in the next town over to recover. But by that point, it was too late. He passed away when I was around your age. And this shrine has been empty ever since then? I doubt anybody would want to take such a thankless job. And anyway, the government was cutting back on expenses. They closed a lot of old shrines about 50 years ago because they cost too much to maintain. They let them go to ruin like this. My grandma exhaled softly. It's cold enough that her breath remains visible in the air, hanging like a small cloud a few inches away from her lips. It's sad, really, but that's how life is. Out with the old, with the new. I'll be going that way myself soon enough. I wince. For some reason, I was wrench at something inside my chest. Don't say that, please. Why not? It's true. All things change in the name of progress. I know I've already had my time. I can't understand half the things you youngsters say. And that's alright. I'm too far behind. I can't keep imp anymore. I've always had my head in the clouds. Don't be silly. You might not be able to use a computer, but that doesn't mean you deserve to. I'm not saying I deserve to, dear, but it's inevitable. If you don't maintain things properly, they start to fall apart, just like this place. Grandma, I know it's upsetting, dear, but that's how the world is. People like shiny, bright, modern things, like those girls on television, painting princess, palette princess. Exactly. I'm so out of touch I can't even remember their name. I'm not a fan of palette princess either. Their music is pretty insipid. I wouldn't know. I'm no judge of music. I've fallen so far beyond the times coming to this place made one thing plain at least. What? My grandmother does a small twirl in her kimono. The sleeves flutter about in her slender arms. The wind catches in her dark hair, making it flutter like a curtain. She smells ever so faintly of hinoki wood. I hated the smell when I was a kid. Now it's enough to make me feel emotional. I might look younger than I really am, but I still really haven't changed, not really. I'm living in the past wearing this old kimono coming to an old shrine, covering things that are going to come to an end, that might have come to an end already. Maybe it's time to let this farce drop. Grandma, it was silly to think I can relive my youth. It's impossible to return to the day when I met Yukinari. That moment is long gone, but it still lives on inside of you, doesn't it? Our memories are like photographs. We store them inside of our hearts. Whenever we get sad or lonely, we can rifle through the photograph album inside of ourselves and recall the good times, even the sad times, the special times. They're brief snapshots of our personal histories that may not matter at all that much to anybody else, but it helps us make who we are. My grandmother shakes her head. I'll always remember Yukinari, of course, but I'm afraid I might not be around to remember him for that much longer. You know what I mean? I'm getting old, you. Come to this place reaffirm that. Time marches on, and soon it'll march right past me. Grandma? My voice catches in my throat. It hurts. This conversation hurts so much more than I ever anticipated. I never thought I'd grow to care about my strange eccentric grandmother quite this much. Though it sounds awful, I don't think in a few I don't think a few years oof. Though it sounds awful, I don't think the me of a few years ago would have particularly cared if my grandmother stumbled and broke a bone, or caught a malignant cough, or passed away quietly in the middle of the night. I would have been sad, I suppose. It would have been an abstract kind of sadness when you feel obliged to be upset by something. I would have gone to her funeral, and I would have pretended to grieve, but her death really wouldn't have touched me. It wouldn't have hurt me. That's because I didn't know her well enough. To me, my grandparents, though integral members of my family, weren't particularly important. They were burdens more than anything else because I hated them when I was a kid. Well, I hated visiting them when I was a kid, rather. I thought their old wooden house was painfully boring, and all I can do was lie on the tatami mats playing my Game Boy or reading comics. And when my Game Boy ran out of batteries or I finished my comics, I was lost in the doldrums of despair. I never got to know them as people. Never really tried. I thought my grandparents were too old, and I was too much of a brat, and I didn't think we had anything in common. My grandmother didn't even know what Pokemon was. How could she ever understand my feelings? If she had died, I wouldn't have cared. My grandfather did die last year, it hardly registered, but it's different now. When I've really spoken to my grandmother, not as a curious relic of the past that might have been found that might have been found on a shelf at Tamayara, but as a real human being. I don't want her to die. I think we should go. Whatever magic worked on me clearly hasn't worked on this shrine. Are you sure? You were so looking forward to it, and I was mistaken. But you brought that beautiful kimono. It was just a fancy, really. I wanted to wear something like this since I was a little girl as well. She offers me a smile, though slightly muted, and it doesn't quite reach her eyes. At least I was able to make one of my wishes come true, but Grandpa? I don't think Ikanari's coming back. He's passed on now. How do you know that? I can feel it in my bones. It's such an old woman saying, a phrase that doesn't make one lick of sense, that I can't stop myself from smiling despite the gloomy atmosphere. A drop of snow, soft and ephemeral, lands on the tip of my nose. I brush it away with the back of my hand. Don't you want to wait a little longer? If there's magic in this world that can make you young again, I'm sure there's magic that can bring Grandpa back. Maybe there is, but I don't think there's anything to gain by standing here waiting. Why not? Because to be quite honest with you, my grandmother has her she hangs her head. Her long eyelashes, black as coral, start to tremble. Being here is too depressing. And that's when I see it. The tears. Oh my goodness gracious. This is something that you really didn't plan for. They beat in my grandmother's eyes like pearls, damp and salty. For a few moments, they hover on her eyelashes, held in place through the sheer force of will. Before a sob wrenches herself from my grandmother's throat, they begin to trickle down her cheeks. I stare, my eyes wide, my mouth agape. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. How can I console her? I've never seen my grandmother cry before. I've never imagined it of her. As far as I can remember, she was always so bright and cheerful, forever telling silly jokes, smiling to herself and laughing. She seemed too perpetually trapped inside of a dream. She didn't even realize how old she was getting. But maybe that was all a front, a mask. Of course, she never told me about her doubts, her fears. What was she? I was just a stupid kid who wouldn't have listened to her, and even if I had, I wouldn't have understood her feelings. She had no reason to confide in me because she had grandfather to support her. She didn't need anybody else. But he's gone now. He's gone. And though my grandmother got herself dressed up to come here to the small shrine where she first met him, he isn't coming back. No magic in the world can revive the dead. At least that's what I thought, but Umeko. A soft voice calls out, carried by the breeze. The wind rustles through the dead branches of the trees and on the back of my coat. My skin tingles. The snow continues to spiral lazily through the dark, dark sky. And here's where I'm going to end it, folks. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share. It helps the channel out a lot. Anyway, I'm the newstarcadefan here saying thanks for watching. Have a good day or night wherever you are, and bye for now.